I think we've got enough. I think we got enough to get started. Probably add some more later. Welcome to the Nutmeg Tavern. It's live. It's Friday, and we are here. A little late because, of course, the time vortex is being troublesome, almost like usual. I'm your host, John Townsend, and we're here to talk fun 18th century stuff and answer questions and talk about, well, like what I just said. I am joined today by Ryan behind the bar.
Hi. It's good to be here today.
Ryan says it's good to be here today. I am also joined. The man who's making all this truly happen is Aaron behind the console.
Thanks for being here.
There he is. You didn't get to see him. That's all right. You don't need to see him. He's there like somebody hidden in the background. Anyway, you know.
Like a stranger in the night.
You know, there are times when you're on vacation and then you get back from vacation and you say, why did I come back? Do you know what I mean, Ryan?
Yes, I do.
Ryan knows exactly.
Yes, I do.
Exactly. So we're headed home from beautiful Florida weather, and the 10-day forecast doesn't even get close to above freezing. Like, no. And like every other day, here, have a little more snow. Here, have a little more snow. You know, I like a little snow, but I like it to melt occasionally. Anyway, we still don't have any above 23 degree temperature coming. So that's what it's like. So we're going to be talking a bit about the places where we have been, both Ryan and I. He went to a different place than I did. Historical, because I can't get away from it. Even when I go on vacation, I can't get away from historical things because that's what I'm interested in. I was in St. Augustine, Florida. You couldn't get any more history than that. And Ryan was in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes, I was.
Again, steeped in history, amazing historical places where you go there. You know, we're from northern Indiana, and there's nothing around here that's old. Like the oldest building you'll ever find is in our area is like maybe 1840, maybe. You know, this part of Indiana, it was passed over. You know, nobody cared. And even things they built in 1840, they built out of rickety old junk that rotted away. And so there's hardly any old structures in this area. So it's great to go to a part of the country where they have buildings that are not 100 years old, not 200 years old, not 300 years old. It's ancient buildings. It's always great for that. And I envy those folks in other parts of Europe and the UK where it's like, what? Everything is ancient like that. Just right around the corner. What? That, of course, you know. So.
Yeah, I had a customer come in the store one time and they're like, the house I grew up in is older than your country.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, okay. So as somebody who's interested in history, that's always fascinating to me. Ryan, do we want to talk about this drink before we get any further?
I'm not ready to serve it to you.
Okay, you're not ready to serve, so I'm going to talk about where I was at before we get to the drink and where Ryan was at and all that kind of good stuff. So I think I'm going to jump right in, unless you got anything, Aaron.
I'm ready for pictures.
Okay, let's jump right into the St. Augustine and all my St. Augustine pictures. I didn't give you any of my beach pictures or any of that. And you know, when I was on vacation, I tried not to work too much. So some of the pictures aren't ones that I took, but other ones that I grabbed. But of course, I was there. So let's all the pictures I think are Castillo San Marco, the big giant stone-ish fort that's there in St. Augustine. Let's let her rip. So this is a big overhead picture so you can get a feeling of this structure. Now, it kind of makes it look small. It's huge, and it's one of these star forts, very typical of the, you know, very, let's say, not temporary, but very permanent structures. When they build forts in that time period, they tend to be of this style, where you have the ability to have crossing lines of fire. Very, very difficult to defeat a structure like this. And those walls are massive thick. There's our cat for the tavern today.
About getting a heart attack.
Yeah, there's an animal. Anyway, these walls are massive thick, made of coquina. which is sort of a pseudo stone. I've got a piece here we'll show later. Very, very soft, so that when the cannonballs hit that, they don't just shatter and break big pieces off, but they just kind of thud and stick in there, and very difficult to defeat. Go to the next
So I had a
shot.
question about that because
Yes.
I haven't been there. As far as the walls and size of the fort, how does it compare to something like Fort Frederick?
It's bigger.
Yeah, way bigger.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll show a little bit of the interior. So here's sort of down at ground level, shooting up. This is probably shot from almost at the side of the water. And there's this beautiful, there's only one tower that's this size, that tall tower that sticks up from the corner there, but it's just so, it's so European and Spanish feeling, that particular little outpost. So you kind of climb up into that. That kind of gives you the highest perspective on that structure, and looks out to sea. And this, again, it is massive. Go ahead to the next one. This is a shot taken of the I think it's it's the kitchen area, the fireplace that's in the enlisted men's barracks. And of course, there at different times there was they had this room set up as the barracks and kitchen all at once. And probably, I'm guessing that this was only kitchen, this whole room, and they sort of combined it for the presentation here, because there are a lot of these giant rooms, but this fireplace was built into the corner of this room. You can kind of see that coquina stone there as the back part of it, how it's very porous and sort of easy to get eaten away, but it's amazing, big fireplace there inside of the fort. Go ahead to the next one. This should be a backed out shot. Yeah, this is a backed out shot. So inside, so all that, what looks like massive 30-foot thick walls, of course, inside of those walls are these chambers. Let's see, I think there's like 3 on each side. So this chamber is, I don't know, 22, 24 feet wide, maybe it's 20 feet wide. But they set it up with the sleeping sort of benches here for the barracks. You can't really tell from the shot. You kind of make it kind of feels like it's just a bad shot from the camera, but these are in fact angled. So maybe all these guys had trouble with, acid reflux or something. But I mean, I wish my bed was like that. It's like a 4 inches or 6 inches higher on the head end than it is on the feet end.
Really?
Either that or, I mean, the other problem is that you would slide right off the bed during the night. You can see though, it's kind of got a foot stopper there. But this was set up as the barracks thing. Now, at different times of life, they probably housed men in different places. Apparently when the English came in one of the rooms, they actually built a second level. I don't have a picture of that, but you can kind of see where the headboard is on these, that upper shelf. They actually had a floor that went across in some of the rooms, and they put men on 2 levels in that. And that's a huge window at the end with bars that showed into the main courtyard. But still, the walls are just massive thick. On the next room over, you could see that they had the soldiers over the different time period. They would scroll, scratch into the walls, kind of graffiti into the walls of the interior walls of this fort, into the sort of the plaster. So the stone is back there, but the plaster was there, and they'd scratch. And this is beautiful for graffiti, ship design. So right out of the 18th century, or possibly even earlier. Somebody's little piece of handmade art still on the walls of the fort. Here is that shot, sort of reverse angle of that one with the really tall tower. The spot where I did the live stream last week was along that upper wall there, kind of pointing out toward the ocean. And again, it's without any people standing there, it's hard to get a good feeling, but the trees kind of give you a good feeling of just how big that structure is. And it was made, that lower section at times was a moat that had water in it, just to make it all that much more difficult. Probably alligators, because they're in Florida. This is on the ocean side. This is the oven that they would use for doing heated shot. So if you want to fire red hot cannonballs at the ships in the distance, that's where you would toss them in there to get red hot. Can you imagine? So you're loading this giant 18-pounder cannon. You got a cannonball that weighs 18 pounds, solid cast iron. You've got it up to red hot heat, and then you got to jam it down the mouth of a cannon. And of course, if it hits any little bit of gunpowder at the wrong time, it's just gonna, well, it's kind of a dangerous thing to do. I'll just say that. They have a lot of the cannon pieces. They've gotten both 19th century and 18th century pieces of artillery up there on that upper wall. And there you can get a feeling of just how wide that upper wall is. It is huge from front to back. So there is one of the mortars. They have a bunch of mortars there. Some of them just huge, 15-inch diameter on the inside mortars. And then lots of cannon, 18-pounders, 12-pounders, and some smaller pieces. Again, beautiful pieces from the time period. There's that from the top. You can see that amazing kind of lookout tower that's built on the corner there. When we were there, it was nothing but pigeons. It's a fabulous place for pigeons. This image is from the Civil War, taken somewhere between 61 and 65, from the inside of the courtyard. And you can see all the cannonballs and stacked up there waiting to be used. And check out that on the upper part where we just saw those cannons. In that time period, they had barracks or tents set up, and people were kind of sort of living up there on that upper floor. So they had this entire thing filled with men at the time. And this is from, well, you can see right there at the bottom, 1743. Here's someone's, there was this amazing little manuscript, like 20-page little book that described the fortification. And this is sort of their top-down view of the fort, the moat, the you can see since it's got a moat, there has to be this little drawbridge that leads you over that. So you can see that there on the left-hand side. That would lead you into the courtyard. There's a little red kind of ladder thing there that shows on that side too. That's actually a sloping stair step that goes from the main courtyard down the center up to that whole top platform where everything's going on. So just an amazing structure. And I think that's the end of them. And there's that piece of coquina. You can see how very, very porous it is. It's an amazing sort of amalgamation stone filled with nothing but kind of made with formed of, I should say, shells under great pressure, and they, all come together into a fabulous building material. Easy to work with and still strong enough to build things out of, but not so heavy. One of the problems, though, is they had to get down under the sand to sort of mine it, or have a place to get all that stone. And then it's so porous that they have to let it drain and dry before they can use it. But there is one place down the coast, it's about 20 miles or so, where a large outcropping of this shows up on top of the beach. Again, truly amazing. That cat is so happy here. Just crashes. Okay, here we go. Ryan just gave me the drink.
Okay, so I will warn you, this is on the tart side.
Tart.
I know the tart's not like where you go, but this is supposed to be tart because the recipe. Now, I walked into a theater down in Charleston, and I didn't know that it was open to tour, and the door was unlocked, so I thought, well, it's open now. And I walked in, and there was a lady there who was happy to greet me. And it was the first theater that was built in the United States in the mid-1730s.
Charleston.
Yes, in Charleston. And there was a tap room. So, of course, I had to go see the tap room.
Of course.
And it was, it had the wooden bars. It was perfect. Mm-hmm. In fact, I had seen that tap room in other photos when we were researching to build this, and I didn't realize it was that tap room. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
That's it right there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So, very similar to the Nutmeg Tavern.
Sure, I can almost see you back there.
Right. And they didn't like when I hopped back. No,
That's too bad for them.
But as you can see in between those two windows, there's a sign.
Yeah.
And the sign has a recipe for what they call Planter's Punch. And it's named Planter's Punch. It's at the very bottom. Mm-hmm. It's named Planter's Punch after the Planters Inn in Charleston where it was created.
Right.
It says 2 parts sour, 1 part sweet, 2 parts strong, 1 part weak. The sour is lemon. Mm-hmm. The sweet is orange.
Okay.
The strong is rum. Mm-hmm. And the weak is tea.
Right.
And so that is what you have before you, John Townsend. Why don't you tell me what you think?
Uh-oh. Let's find out. I mean, all 10,000 taste buds.
Pure vanilla.
You'll have to check it out. What should they search for? What's the on
Pure
YouTube?
vanilla.
Pure vanilla.
Pure vanilla.
Check it out.
Yeah.
It's not too sour.
Okay.
And it's got, I mean, there's that tea down underneath. The rum really isn't the top note or anything. Really hides
it's hard
it well.
to pick up on the rum,
Right.
right?
It's got so much citrus in it, both the lemon and the orange. It's like, hey, it's lemony lime, except it's lemon orange.
So the hard part about a recipe like this is when it says 1 part, 2 parts, you don't know if they mean ounces or if you mean 2 lemons to 1 orange, or if if it's equal measurements after they're juiced or what. So
Yeah, I would say that they just mean volumetrically.
Yes, I wouldn't buy
1
volume.
ounce of this, 2 ounces of that, whatever.
well, what the nice thing about this drink, if you're going to make it at home, is it's very easy to change. If it's like, this isn't quite what I like, we'll add a little bit more lemon or a little bit more orange.
Right.
And you
I
can
think
add
this
some
could
tea.
sneak up on you.
Yeah, but it's really nice. I like, and it's a great color.
I smelled it as soon as you started making it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the way over here. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was surprised at how good it turned out.
Yeah, and it's it seems very, very typical of. Actually, I'm surprised that there isn't any sugar listed there.
Yeah, I was too.
And it must be that the oranges they were talking about were not Seville oranges, but China oranges, because they call it the sweet, right?
Oh, sure.
So there's sort of sour oranges and sweet oranges in the time period. And maybe they figured that the orange was going to bring enough sweet. And of course, their palate isn't as crazy, sweet as ours is. So
And it does call for Jamaica rum.
No, wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, they were just asking what kind of rum. you
Yeah,
used.
so it calls for Jamaica rum.
I think that is the final. Let me try it out. I think yeah.
That did it.
See, now somebody in the comment section says, I've heard it 1 part sour, 2 parts sweet, 3 parts strong, 4 parts weak. So, yeah, I mean, you can play around with that recipe and have fun with it. Find what you like.
Sounds
best.
like it would get pretty strong.
Yeah. Well,
you do that.
maybe
that's
that could be the point.
Right.
But anyway, I think it was good.
Yeah.
And yeah, my trip to Charleston was wonderful. We had a lot of fun. I want to get into some super chat real quick.
Okay.
Before it gets out of hand.
Yes.
And
getting
do
out
you
of
have any Patreon that you want to talk about?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can go ahead with that if you
Oh yeah. Patreon every week, except when I'm not where I can get to my computer. I try to get to Patreon folks, the brand new Patreon folks. It's actually been almost 2 weeks, or it has been 2 weeks. So the brand new Patreon folks, since I talked about it last time, Ann Bassano, I might have gotten her last time, C. Davis, Emma A., and then Xavier, Scott Euchre, Let's see, Carol Rosmierek, CC, Anachronism Mind. And then there's Warchasm, and Jared Swanson, and Dana Kurt Helen, and Brad Yeager. And then, how about this one? One Rainy Wish Again. Chuck Baker, then Just Billy, Tyler O'Connor, Morris, this one I've got to try again, Gewurz, Tactical Tugboat 04, and Sarah Albright. Those are the brand new people that are helping us out on Patreon. It's one of those sites where you can sign up and you sort of pledge a certain amount of money each month. And it can be basically anything you want, $1, $2, but there's certain levels there, but really it's whatever you want to do. Amazing. Thank you, folks, on Patreon.
Care if I jump in just for a second?
Go for it.
We got about 1,000 people in here. Let's get to 1,000 likes.
Right.
Helps us with the algorithm,
that'd be
and
awesome.
that's always good for us.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh, and just so you know, there is some special content on for Patreon folks. So there are some special perks to that. Like, well, we just had a little special video for them just the last couple of days. So
Awesome. In Super Chat, we have Russ, who came in first. I made the butter eggs recipe and couldn't believe how yummy they were. My guests were super impressed and said, check.
how did
There
we?
we go. There we go.
Hey, there we go. Thank you, Russ. Appreciate that. Mark is in Super Chat. Looking forward to morning coffee in those new mugs. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Cohen, love your recipe videos. Keep up the amazing content.
Thank you.
Josh James, thank you again for all you do. Here's a question. With George Washington's birthday coming up soon, I'm reminded of your classic video series at Mount Vernon. Do you plan on returning there someday?
One never knows.
Yeah.
We do our best to go different places. We don't have any current talks with Mount Vernon, but who knows?
Katie is in the Super Chat. They would also use the moat area as a place to keep livestock in times of siege. Most of the time it was actually dry. Diana is in Super Chat. A small gift of thanks. Hope M. Thank you for visiting my town. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, I certainly did.
Paul is in Super Chat. I feel if John was alive in the 18th century, he'd have become king of the Molucca Islands. The source of all nutmeg. Thank you for your amazing channel. I've learned so much and tried some recipes. I think you're right on with that, Paul.
I was thinking about taking a trip there to do an episode on nutmeg. What do you think?
That'd probably break YouTube.
You break the internet.
1.5 acre suburban homestead. How many men would have lived there, John?
You know, I don't know that exactly. It changes over time, but you can easily guess that a garrison like that is going to be in that maybe 200 range, and it might grow up to 500 in certain times. And, you know, there are times when it was just sort of kind of fallen into disrepair. So, you know, the garrison might fall back to like 50 men, but you would want to have more men than that in a place like that.
Danny Miller, my wife and I bought our first merchandise from you recently, and we love it. We are both musicians playing historical instruments, and we love that your channel brings history to life in a similar way.
Yes.
Thank you for your purchase, Dan. John Talley, I can't find a good reference to how to build a cabin with vertical logs. Can you point me in a good direction, or maybe someone in the chat?
Yeah, vertical logs, you're only going to find just references to them, not specifically like directions. And even some of the earliest building with logs in North America is not building them as a log cabin that we think of, like the one we made. That building technique is generally what sweeps in with the Scots-Irish in the mid to early 18th century and then later. Sometimes the earlier builders were using the vertical, and she's going to hang out here. You can't.
She keeps bumping something. Ryan's camera keeps shutting off.
Anyway, they So there's probably earlier 17th century references and with that vertical log structure. And I think it actually is a bit like palisades in that you dig a trench and you set those logs down in it to hold the base. And then you would have, inner boards that would hold it up. And then you would, build your roof structure from those. But boy, that's going to be some trickier. That's not easy research to do. That's going to be hard to find. And so that could be, a couple years work of really coming up with exactly the way they would have done that, unless somebody else has pioneered the way and done that research for you. And I have not seen that yet.
Erin Howard is in Super Chat, and she says, I know this is outside of the normal scope of this channel, but I need to point out that there is ancient history here. It's just not Eurocentric.
Oh, yes. Of course. There's as we go back, there's the Native American, connection. But that goes back thousands and thousands of years. It's hard for us to, kind of focus in on what's going in, and I don't want to belittle that in any way, shape, or form. There is amazing history to dig in on that. And, that history is here as well as, every place else in the North American continent. It's just that we specialize in what we specialize. But that doesn't mean that there isn't incredibly important and interesting history that has other directions.
As far as the chat's concerned, buy your plane tickets. You're headed to Nutmeg Land.
Yes.
They are excited.
Yeah, wouldn't it be really? I mean, I even finding out, at some point nutmeg gets brought in. It doesn't come just from those areas, and you could. Oh, that's cheating. Sheesh. I didn't see that. I did not see that.
What was it?
Lord came and lured the cat away with a special cat
Cat
toy.
whisperer?
Yeah.
Oh, she had a toy?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Anyway.
That's what's happening here.
Anyway, seeing where nutmeg has been grown here in the Western Hemisphere would be interesting, but going to see it in its natural habitat would be amazing.
Amazing. Yes, it would.
Truly.
There is something else that we're supposed to talk about today. Right there it is.
You see these beautiful guys? Amazing. I could use that word all the time.
While you're talking about it, I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat.
We have new mugs available. Yay! Beautiful color. I love this. We call this the Seafoam Green and White. It's got the Nutmeg Traders logo on it, with a little schooner ship there that's chock full of nutmeg, and they're bringing it to our shores so that we can enjoy it. And it's even got a little flag on the top of the ship with a nutmeg on it so that you know what's on board ship. Comes in the beautiful seafoam green with white and this gorgeous black with sort of turquoise blue. And this is actually, I wanted to name this Caribbean Abyss, but the software didn't like that. So it's black with turquoise, beautiful mugs. This one, don't look at the bottom. Beautiful mugs, hand thrown here in the United States. These guys make a great mug. Everyone enjoys them. I love them. They are available on the website, and we have enough so that they will probably last the whole weekend.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm just saying.
It's hard to have faith in that, the way that folks grab them up. But hopefully you'll get your mug.
Yeah.
Somebody is just in Super Chat. I missed it. Well, there it is. Sue O'Connor. I'm traveling by Greyhound across multiple states next month.
Really?
Is that our current equivalent to the Post Coach?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're all hoping the best for you. I'm sure it will be an adventure like none other.
Hey, riding the bus can be a really fun time.
I don't know. I've never ridden the bus.
And speaking of which, thanks to everyone who watched Monday's video on public transportation. That was a lot of fun to shoot.
It was that the stories that are there, the readings on that, doing the research for that, a lot of fun. I had some fun doing the digging on that and sort of picking out the different stories there. And no, they are amazing stories. Boy,
We had a lot of fun
like
shooting the B-roll,
every
too.
time I say
Didn't we,
amazing,
Ryan?
We sure did. Aaron kept commenting on how beautiful the horse was.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, they said those are beautiful mugs. Do they ship to Germany?
They do, but the problem these days with anything shipped outside the United States is shipping is exorbitant. I don't know what has gone on, but it can get really expensive to ship these guys overseas. The website does its best to figure out what the shipping is, but it's probably overestimating. You really need to call in if you really want to know what the shipping is going to be on getting one of these overseas. I think it guesses something like $50 for shipping, which is like, what? So I don't know what to tell you about that, except I wish there was a better way to get things to other places in the world.
If you want one and you live in Germany, come and buy one in the store and then take a box back with you for all the other folks in
It
Germany.
might be cheaper.
That'd be great.
Or possibly we could get a group of people together and then we could ship a bigger box, like a dozen or something, and then they could, I don't know.
Hopefully the day that you come, we're not allowed to shoot a video somewhere.
That's
John Waldrip is in Super Chat. Thank you all for the great recipe videos. When I want to cook something new, the first thing I do is to check to see if you have a video about it. I made the best baked beans I've ever had thanks to your video.
Yes.
They're good baked beans.
They are. Oh, wow. When baked beans are done right, they're right.
Aaron Howitt says, what's the cat's name? Also, buses have Wi-Fi.
Wow. You can watch our videos. Why? No, you should be looking out the window. Andromeda is the cat's name that's here in the building.
The Evil Plague Doctor is in Super Chat. Hello, John. You should check out a settlement in Illinois called Lincoln's New Salem.
Yes.
There are many log cabins there.
Yes. I think we talked to one of the guys at the Alfam convention.
Yeah.
That was from, yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. I didn't until you just said it. Now I remember it. John G. Keegan. Have you heard of Argleton pie? I think it's Argleton. A very strange English dish. Google it. You'll love it. Cheers. Argleton pie. You writing that down? Awesome.
Pie.
All right. I think that catches up on Super Chat. If you guys go and purchase a mug, comment what color you got. I'd like to know.
I am just massively enamored of this green. I don't know why. I don't know what to tell you.
Seafoam green. It's been doing great for Fender for years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think Fender's Seafoam is a little light for me. I would rather it have been like this.
Okay.
What can I say?
You think you're going to ride them and tell them? You
I could
send them a mug.
I could. Or I could just get one and spray paint it whatever color I want.
You could. Not like you haven't done that to a guitar.
Don't tell anybody. Okay. Are we going to talk about Charleston?
Yeah, so I don't know how much I have to say. I went to Charleston on a family trip, and I wasn't taking pictures thinking, oh, I'm going to put these on a live stream. I was just taking pictures for myself, playing with some lenses that I had an opportunity to play with. But I had fun, and here are some pictures.
Yes.
That is a house.
Wow. That's great, Ryan. I'm glad you're...
Like John said, we live in Indiana, and we don't have an opportunity to see old things. And so when I'm looking at something, I'm like, oh, man, I've never seen that color of brick in my neck of the woods. I take a picture of it. Or I say, I've not seen that sort of roof line. I'm very interested in these things. So I liked that picture, so I pulled it out. That's a house.
Wow.
If you haven't been to Charleston and you do live somewhere like we do in the Midwest, walking around there, it could make your neck sore very quickly because you just keep whipping it around to see what else is around. It's just beautiful.
St. Augustine was like that.
Yeah, I bet.
It was amazing.
All right, and then this was the sign for the theater that I went to, that the punch came from, and like I said, it was the oldest, the first specifically built for theatrical events building in the United States. It was pretty neat to walk around in. Obviously, they've done some updating over the year. It had a very Hollywood noir feel to it, but there was still neat original woodwork, and it had a really great feel.
Apparently,
and upstairs in the tap room, and I think it was a drawing room or something, they left that pretty much untouched.
Oh, that's cool. With apparently with a face like that, they only did tragedies.
Yeah, I would guess. Yeah. This was out of the window of the theater, and I love those types of chimneys. I don't know if there's a particular name for them, but I do know that I see them in New Orleans and Charleston, and I don't recognize them in a lot of other places that I go. Do you know anything about that, John?
No, I'm not a.
But they've got those cool little triangular caps on them, so you guys could probably tell me in the chat what that's about, because I really like them.
Oh yeah.
This is a church that this is also through the window of the theater. And let me see here. This is the French Huguenot Church. Is the third church built on that same site. And this one was erected in 1845.
Okay.
The famous pineapple fountain.
Yeah.
It cracked me up. There are pineapples everywhere as a symbol of hospitality, of course.
Yes.
We like pineapples in the Nutmeg Tavern, so I thought that I would show you the pineapple fountain.
Gorgeous.
This is Rainbow Row, originally built on the shoreline or the bay view area back in the time period, erected in 1740. It's the largest cluster of Georgian houses in the United States.
Wow.
13 of them in the 1930s or 40s. They were all painted pastel colors and have become a stopping point for sucker tourists like myself.
Like yourself. And you enjoyed every minute of it.
I did. Well, what was neat about, now, something that you need to know about me is when I go places, if there is an unlocked door, I'm going in.
Look out.
Unless it's obviously somebody's living quarters. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But so what was happening was they were renovating the Rainbow Row. And so they were gutting the walls. And I thought, man, this is time to take a peek. So I went in and I met a fella in there who was super nice. And he'd never met a Yankee like myself. And so we talked for a while. And he let me look around.
Do you keep bumping the...
No, I'm not. There we go.
We good?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Amazing.
Sorry about that,
So
everyone.
yeah, I went in there and got to take a peek around. It's neat to watch how the houses change over the years. They're very modern in their kitchen area and stuff now, but you can see the remnants of something from the 1700s, which was really neat.
Yeah, nobody wants to live with an 18th century kitchen
Right.
in the 21st century.
And we're back.
This was just I just liked the building. I just took a picture of it.
Okay. We'll let you do that.
Yeah, thanks.
There's the
Bar, we've been there. Yep.
And then you're back to the beginning.
Oh, there were more, but I don't know where they went.
There were?
Sure. I think there were like 15 images, but it's okay.
Yeah, a second. You guys talk for a second. Let me figure this out.
Well, I wish I had taken more pictures when I was walking down the streets of St. Augustine, because their architecture, their building materials, there's the oldest house there in St. Augustine, which has a Spanish lower floor and an English upper floor.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. It's incredibly interesting. Interior, exterior. I'm just probably going to have to take another trip and do a special set of episodes on St. Augustine.
Yeah, right. Oh, man.
I know.
Sorry for you. Somebody is in the comment. They're asking, was there house paint in North America in the 18th century? If so, how was it made?
Yeah, most of the paints being made in this time period are linseed oil base with, you put, different kinds of like iron oxide in them and other kind of colorants. But they were also using a lot of things like whitewash, which is sort of lime based, and as it gets exposed to carbon dioxide, it turns back into limestone. So really, you're kind of coating things with a thin layer of limestone in the end. You can colorize those too. So there's
What's that name of that the copper green color? What is that?
Verdigris?
Yeah, there we go.
You're right. So you can use different kinds of salts, you can use different kind of clays to get different hues. There are a bunch of different ways that you can do paint colors in the time period. And in fact, there's some stuff, really interesting stuff about structures built in St. Augustine in the time period. And, along comes, in the time period, they would have used whitewash on all those. So, you burn limestone, you get quick lime, and then you slake it, and you get hydraulic lime, and then you put it on the walls, and it turns into whitewash. And they would use that to do all the walls. And it's a very, very good coating for breathing. It lets moisture go in and out. The 20th century comes along and people start slapping modern paints on these structures, and all of a sudden it does not work. It holds the moisture in and everything starts to mold and just terrible, and they had to go back to using the true things because that's really a much better kind of paint material.
So when I was down there, one thing that I was reading was about this color called Charleston Green. And basically after the Civil War, the Yankees sent a bunch of black paint to repaint the town after it had been hurt through the battles.
Paint?
Right. And so because they didn't want to use what they called Yankee black, they added yellow to the black and created Charleston Green. And you see that color around the town a lot. So.
That sounds hideous, painting things black.
I know.
Ready for more picks?
Yeah, right after D. Renee is in Super Chat. Thank you for my new Seafoam Green mug to add to my collection of 4.
Thank you.
Happy Friday from Clearwater, Florida.
Yes.
No old baby.
No old baby.
Okay. I think we saw that one. I don't remember, though.
No, I don't think we saw that one.
Yeah, I just thought that this was interesting.
That's not Charleston Green?
I'm not sure. That's the problem. It's like there's so many different shades now that I'm not sure what the true shade is. Somebody in the chat probably does.
Yeah, it looks like seafoam to me.
Yeah, right. This is a Baptist church, and this one was from the extension of the first Baptist churches in the United States.
Okay.
This one was built in 1822, Greek Revival Sanctuary.
Yes, revival. Yep.
This house is along the bay, and when you're walking along the bay wall, there are just these enormous mansions, and that's all that you see. And they're just this is a small one. It's crazy, but they all have these beautiful porches that are multi-leveled and go all the way across, and I just thought it was pretty.
It is.
This house was interesting because it's in between a bunch of mansions. And the reason I took a picture of it is you can't tell because I was using a fisheye lens, but it is the whole wall curves as like it was just built that way. Not like a house settled, but like they built it in a bend into it. And it was just really interesting. I hadn't seen a house built like that before.
Wow.
Another church. The graveyard that I'm standing in right there is from the Circular Congregational Church, which was established in 1681. They've renovated the building since then. I didn't take a picture of that building, although it's still neat. But that tower right there was from St. Philip's Church, and that was built between 1835 and 1838.
Okay.
That was me playing with that was me playing with lens flare, but I like the house in the street. Yeah,
amazing.
Cool.
Thank you, Ryan, for bringing pictures. That reminds me, all those wonderful brick buildings and stuff. Robert Hoy sent me this. He hasn't sent me the complete information on it, but an 18th century brick from, I think it's mid 18th century, 1740s, I believe. He's going to send more information on it, but it's always fun to have, a period artifact and a period brick connecting with the handmade bricks that we made. This obviously a handmade brick from that time period, and very reminiscent, almost exactly like the bricks that we made, slightly differently proportioned, but really, really neat. So thank you, Robert Hoy, and I can't wait to get more information on that brick.
How does that one feel like as dense as a normal brick does? Because we had different variants in our density.
Yeah, this one's a typical density that you would think of as a brick.
Super Chat has some stuff, but people are wondering about how taxes worked for property in the time period after looking at these big houses.
Yeah, and that's all over the place. I mean, we really, especially in the colonial period, so pre-1776, but even, I mean, all the way through that 18th century, whether it's United States after, 1781 and before that, each one of these states is very, very different in how it does everything. We call them the United States because they were individual states or individual almost like countries. And so everything that's going on with the taxation, very, very different. So you really got to dig into an individual location to figure out what they're doing with property taxes. And of course, it affects completely what's happening with the kind of structures you build. If you can't afford the taxation, then you don't build those kind of structures. In fact, as the Scots-Irish come in to the backcountry of North America in the 18th century, the place where they were from, they were typically just renters because of the way land ownership was in that area. Nobody would build nice structures. There was no reason to. You were building on rented land. You knew it could be taken away from you anytime. And so that really has affected architecture of that whole culture even to today. So, those things make a huge difference. The way that land ownership is done, the way taxation is done, it affects everything not everything, but it affects the culture in its architecture a great quantity. And just connecting those two things together, it's like, well, the taxation was like this, the architecture is like that, or the buildings are this size or that size. Totally connects up, and all those things we don't see or draw those parallels very often, but they're all there.
So Jack is in Super Chat and says, bought a black mug to go with my blue stag mug. Love them. I live near Charleston and visit. I live near Charleston and visit Savannah, Georgia, and Beaufort, South Carolina. For oldest history, too. I was supposed to go to Savannah, but we got rained out. That was unfortunate. Thank you. Sonia just bought the black turquoise mug, and I can't wait for it to arrive. Loving the photos of Savannah. I went there years ago, and it's one of the prettiest cities I've seen. Thank you for everything. Ashley is in Super Chat. The reason these homes are shaped the way they are is because of taxation. Taxes were based on street frontage. Interesting.
Yes. So make your house like 3 feet wide and 100 feet deep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so make it.
Noel is in Super Chat, just became a monthly sub. Do you see a growth in colonial cuisine in North American restaurants?
I don't know. I don't have a good way to sort of back up and look at the 10,000-foot view of that, so I don't know.
Yeah. Again, so one of the parts of being based where we're based is there aren't a lot of cutting-edge restaurants around here, unless we go to Chicago or something like that. So.
We live in a backwater.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm going to post the link for those mugs one more time. It looks like it's about half and half as far as what people are liking. What do you think, Aaron? Turquoise?
Yeah, I would say it's about half and half. And the other mugs, too. I see a lot of people grabbing other mugs.
We do have a load of standard Nutmeg Tavern mugs. I don't know where they're at. And, of course, we even have some of these guys. So lots of pieces available now.
And we are so close. 2,000 likes. I can feel it.
Ooh.
Let's make it happen.
Okay.
Team.
We got to make it quick because it's about time for us to go.
Right.
Yeah.
I just dropped that link in the chat. Thank you guys so much. John, it's all yours.
Okay. So, I don't know if you were there for the last live stream and everyone was like, I can't hear you, John. And, we were using my cell phone and my cell phone was fighting me and it was doing the vertical format technology. Don't you love it? Anyway, the sound was horrible, wasn't it? Someone in the chat came up with this great idea. They said, why don't you put a sock on the microphone? So my wife took off, this is the actual sock. My wife took off her sock and put it on the phone.
Oh, really?
Not covering the lens. This is the microphone sock, and it made all the difference. I don't know who it was who made the comment, but thank you so much. It's the perfect microphone sock.
They saved the live stream because it sounded great. Also, 1,000 likes. Thank you.
Look at that.
Ooh, we did
John,
it.
please make sure that sock makes it into the camera kit. It will always be there to save us.
Got a problem? Use a sock.
Sorry, John's wife, only one sock for you.
Right. Also, one of the things I picked up while I was there, I don't buy a lot of like touristy kind of things. In this beautiful Columbia restaurant that does Spanish food there in St. Augustine, and in the gift shop they had these beautiful Majolica pieces that are very, very 18th century. Tin glazed blue decoration used in the 17th century and the 18th century, and still popular, gorgeous pieces. So enjoy, really, St. Augustine. You can't go wrong, especially if you're interested in history things. Yeah, there's a lot of touristy, kind of history stuff, but even in amongst all that, there's some great historical places to visit. I can't recommend enough the Spanish Military Hospital Museum. I think we're gonna try to trick them into doing a video with me. That one will be fun, fascinating. The medical similarities and differences between the Spanish medicine in the 18th century and the English/American medical tradition. So much to talk about. So many things, so many places to visit, and so many great connections. It's been great. I really want to thank Ryan for bringing the amazing Planter's Punch.
Oh, yeah.
Really good. And thank you everyone who helps support what we do. It makes it possible for us to do amazing, fun content. I get interested in a particular topic. Can I do it as an episode? Well, maybe not, unless I have the right kind of people behind me, supporting me. You are what makes that kind of content happen, whether it's Super Chat or, Patreon or mugs, or just helping us out with the channel, suggesting videos to people. And so we get so many great sort of comments. I shared this with somebody, and they've been watching it ever since, or whatever. It's a great thing you can share with friends or family, kids, whatever, because we kind of make the channel work as best we can for everyone. So thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you out there. I want you to thank you for watching today, and have a great weekend.